The court is calling cause number 23167 DCFAM -00014 in the matter of the marriage of John Russell Elmore. And Mr. Steele, if you could tell me how to pronounce her name. And does she go by Elaine?
She does go by Elaine, and I would do a terrible job trying to pronounce it.
And what is her last name?
On key.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Mr. Steele. I didn't understand what you just said.
I'm not so sure I did either. Hissang Lon Key is the best I can do. She goes by Elaine.
All right. All right. So Todd Steele is here with his client, Elaine. Judd Woodley is present with his client, John Russell Elmore. And this is styled also in the interest of the child. And so are you ready to proceed, Mr. Steele?
I am, Judge.
Are you ready, Mr. Woodley?
Yes, Your Honor.
We'll note for the record that these proceedings are being conducted via Zoom. We're also broadcasting live on YouTube. We've got some housekeeping matters we need to address. The first thing I need to do is we have an interpreter, a Mandarin interpreter named Penny Chin. She is with us. Ms. Chin, if you would please raise your right hand. I'm going to swear you in.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Chin, do you swear or affirm that you will make a true translation in this case for Elaine from English to Mandarin and Mandarin back into English?
Yes, I do.
Thank you, Ms. Chin. And we appreciate your service being with us. All right.
It's my honor.
Now, the way we're going to do this is Ms. Chin is muted herself. She is on the phone with Elaine, who is sitting next to Todd Steele in his office. And so I think that makes a lot of sense. We have other options if we need to explore them. All right. Now, I also want to make a note. We have, there are quite a few people that are in the Zoom hearing with us at this point. I've made a note earlier to them that we're going to be broadcasting live on the District Court YouTube page, 35th District Court. You can search that. You can find that also through our website, browncountytx.org, and follow the link to the 35th District Court page. And there should be a link there as well. Because here in a minute, we're going to identify who the witnesses are. And if you're not a witness, we're going to put you back in the breakout room, or you can just leave Zoom, but you will have a way to watch this live. All right. So let's start with this. Who filed the petition in this case?
We did, Your Honor.
And we're here for temporary orders. Is that correct, Mr. Woodley?
Your Honor.
All right. You agree with that, Mr. Steele?
Yes.
All right. And I know in the record you filed a counter petition. I've talked with the attorneys off the record. I understand what the issue is here, and we'll get into evidence in a moment. These are temporary orders, hearings. The court has the authority and is going to exercise its discretion to limit the testimony at this point. This is not a final hearing. We will schedule a final hearing somewhere down the road. So today, it's 10 o'clock. And so we will be done each side. I give right at an hour of each side. And so we've got 2 hours until lunch. And so you need to choose the witnesses that you most need and get the testimony that you most need to elicit. This is not a time to get into the entire case. That will be some other time. Any issue with that, Mr. Steele?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Woodley?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Woodley, who do you plan to call in this case?
Just Mr. Elmore, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Steele, who do you plan to call?
Judge, I plan to call my client. Possibly, she has an adult daughter named Jennifer Chin. I believe she is logged in. I saw her. Yes, I see her on there. If I get to her, I'd like to call her, and possibly Tracy Lynn, Lin. She is logged in. There's someone logged in named Yvonne. My client would like me to call if we get a chance to do that, but we may not, but she's possibly a witness.
All right. So what I'm gonna do then is, and what we're gonna do here is, Mr. Woodley, I understand you're gonna invoke the rule.
Sure, Your Honor.
So what that means is, if you're a witness in this case, you cannot be a part of the proceedings until it's your turn to testify. And that means you cannot watch these proceedings on YouTube. So Mr. Elmore and Elaine obviously can stay in this room because they're the parties. But Jennifer Chin, Yvonne, and Tracy Lynn, if you all could turn your cameras on for me. All right, I see. All right, thank you all very much. I'm going to go ahead and swear each of you in, and I'm going to swear the witnesses in. So Elaine, Mr. Elmore, Tracy Lynn, Jennifer Chin, and Yvonne. Yvonne, what is your last name? If you could take.
So,
All right, if you all could please raise your right hands for me.
I did not understand her last name.
so,
Could you
Can you
spell it,
spell it?
please?
TSOU.
All right, if you all would please raise your right hands. And okay, you and each of you do swear or affirm that the testimony you will give in this case will be true and correct. So help me God. Please say I will.
I will.
All right, thank you very much. Now, before we go, let me ask Mr. Steele, as far as you know, for Tracy Lynn, Jennifer Chin, or Yvonne, so do any of you also need interpretation?
No, I don't believe so, Judge.
All right, very good. All right, so we've got that for Elaine set up. All right, so for the three witnesses, I'm going to put you back in the breakout room. You just stay there. And as soon as it's your time to testify, we will pull you in, okay?
Okay.
All right, I'm going to put you in the waiting room now. All right, the rest of you that are here, I'm going to put you back in the waiting room as well, and you may watch on YouTube. All right, that makes this much more manageable in terms of who is in here. I see we've got our clerk. Now, one more person I need to remove. All right, it looks now like we have everybody that we need. All right. Okay, Mr. Woodley or Mr. Steele, do either of you wish to make an opening statement?
We can just go right into the evidence, Your Honor, as far as I'm concerned.
All right, Mr. Steele.
Judge, that's fine with me.
All right, Mr. Woodley, you may call your first witness.
Call John Elmore.
Mr. Elmore, you're already sworn in, and so you may proceed, Mr. Woodley. Now, and let me just make this note for everyone. Court reporter has to take down what you're saying, Mr. Elmore, so speak clearly and loudly and crisply so that we have that information. You may proceed, Mr. Woodley.
John, go ahead and state your full name for the court, please.
John Russell Elmore.
What name do people normally call you?
Russell.
Okay, if I call you Russell.
Yes.
Russell, how old a man are you?
45 years old.
Where did you grow up?
Hamilton, Texas.
Did you graduate from high school there?
I did.
And where do you live now?
Goldthwaite, Texas.
Prior to filing this divorce petition, had you been primarily residing in Mills County?
Yes, although I spent a lot of time in Rowlett as well. I split my time between Mills County and Rowlett.
What do you do for a living now?
I'm a machinist.
Where?
Stephenville, Texas.
Where?
Technip FMC.
How long have you had that job?
A year and a half.
During that time period, have you primarily resided in Mills County during your work week?
Yes,
And do you drive back and forth to work Monday through Thursday?
I do.
And have you been off Fridays
Yes,
and the weekends?
yes.
Was it your practice to leave from work in Stephenville on Thursday and go to Rowlett where you would live with Elaine and your son Alvis?
Yes,
Would you stay there till Sundays
yes,
and then drive back and resume your work week at FMC?
yes.
All right. Do you have any other children other than Alvis?
I do not.
And how old is Elvis as we sit here today?
7 years old,
What grade is he in school?
first grade.
At some point in time, did you move to Taiwan from the United States?
I did,
What was the purpose for you moving there?
to teach English.
What year did you first move to Taiwan from the US?
2015.
Do you remember what year you and Elaine met?
We met in 2015 when I moved there.
And at that point in time, was Elaine a citizen resident of Taiwan?
Yes, she was.
Did you live in a city there?
I did. New Taipei City.
And is that where Elaine was from
Yes,
or where she was living?
yes.
Do you have an education? What kind of education do you have?
Bachelor's degree,
Where from?
Texas State University, San Marcos.
And what is that degree in?
Mass communication, journalism.
How did it develop in your life to where you took a job over in Taiwan teaching English?
Well, when I finished with the journalism degree is right about when the bottom fell out on newspaper writing, and I was told to maybe find something else to do. And I had a lot of friends tell me that Taiwan was a great place to live and that it was a good job to get over there.
What was where were you living at the time you made the decision to move over there in 2015?
Pretty Texas.
And how did you inquire into finding out about getting a job there? Is there a company? Is there some kind of organization?
Yes, there's a website that you can go to look for international jobs, and the company that I signed on with makes it very easy to get a job overseas. The interview process is taken care of online.
And was it kind of an exciting, adventurous thing to do for you?
It was.
How did you become introduced to Elaine when you moved to Taiwan and started work?
A friend from my training group was friends with Elaine from before. His wife and her had lived in Australia together.
And did you and Elaine strike up a relationship shortly thereafter?
We did.
Start dating and seeing each other, that sort of thing?
Yes,
Did Elaine have a child from a previous relationship?
she did.
Just one or more?
Just one.
A boy or a girl?
Girl.
And what is her daughter's name?
Her English name is Jennifer Chen.
She goes by Jennifer.
Chinese name. Okay. Yes, she goes by Jennifer.
Keep it simple. Keep it simple. She goes by Jennifer, okay? And how old was Jennifer when you and Elaine got together?
She was born in 2000. So when we first met, when we got married, she would have been 16, if I'm remembering the years correctly.
Did y'all start living together in 2015 or 2016? You and Elaine?
2000. Elaine and I started living together after we were married. So that would be 2016.
So there was a period of time that y'all dated and then decided to get married, and then you got married in 16?
Yes.
And at that point in time, did Jennifer live with both you and Elaine?
Not at that time. She was in America.
Okay. When did when was Alvis born?
Alvis was born in October of 2016.
Did you and Elaine find out she was pregnant before you were married or after you were married?
Before we were married.
And so at that point in time, she had a 16-year-old daughter, 15-year-old daughter in there, right?
Yes.
You had no kids.
No.
So what was that news like how did y'all handle that development?
It was a surprise. I was on vacation when I got a call from Elaine telling me that we needed to talk. And when I returned to Taiwan, we met up and I kind of figured out what the news was going to be, and she told me then.
And what did y'all decide between yourselves about it?
That we were going to have a baby.
And were y'all married in Taiwan?
We were.
You have to get like a marriage license over there, that sort of thing.
We did.
And how long did you continue to live in Taiwan after y'all were married?
I continued to live in Taiwan until 2022, January of 2022.
Was there a period of time that y'all separated between 2016 when you got married and 2022 when you moved back to the States?
Yes, there were 2 periods.
What was the first period?
I have to look up the exact dates, but it was after we filed for Elaine and Jennifer to get their green card. They had to return to the United States. Yeah, I'm not sure of the dates. If I looked at a timeline, I could figure that out.
How long was the first separation?
I believe 6 months.
And during that time, did Elaine stay in Taiwan or did she go somewhere else?
She was in America.
And how and why did she go to America?
It's a requirement for the residency process.
And so did y'all have kind of a long-term goal of possibly you and Elaine and Alvis moving back to the States?
We did.
And was part of at least part of the reason she went over there at that time and y'all separated for that purpose? For the
Yes.
purpose or admitted to live in the U.S.
I'm sorry, Mr. Woodley. There was he said yes, and then you started your answer and it cut out.
Withdraw that last question. Were there any other reasons y'all separated other than her wanting to establish residency in the U.S.?
No, there were not.
Marital problems, anything like that?
Not at the time of the first separation, no.
What happened that led her to that y'all reunited? I guess she came back to Taiwan.
Mm-hmm. Yes, she came back to Taiwan.
Why did she come back?
Friends and family. The requirement was to only stay in the United States for, I think, 6 months of the year. And she came back. And the second time we put Alvis into school where I worked to continue his education. I think part of it was important that he's in touch with his Chinese culture and the language.
So I'm just trying to understand. I don't mean to get bogged down, but why have her go to the U.S. for 6 months only to abandon that whole plan and come back?
It was a requirement for the green card process to spend at least that much time in the United States.
Did she get her green card out of that process?
She did.
At this point in time, did you have any intention of moving back to the United States?
At the first, yes. When we first decided to move to the United States, or when they decided to move to the United States, I originally intended to return.
Why didn't you go with her instead of staying in Taiwan?
Because I had a stable job and steady income. If I moved back to the United States, I didn't have any guarantee, and I was not looking forward to going back and trying to figure out what I was going to do without a sure job or source of income with a family to support.
Where did Elaine live during that 6-month period?
She originally moved in with my mother.
In Hamilton or in Mills County?
In Hamilton.
Your mother still lived in Hamilton County at that time?
She did.
And how long did that last, her living with your mom?
Again, I'd have to look at a calendar. I would estimate 3 months, maybe
Then where
1 to
did
3.
Where did she live after that?
She moved to, I believe, Plano. I know it was the DFW area.
Why did she leave your mom's house and move to DFW area?
My impression was that they did not get along.
Did she live with your sister during that time?
She did not. Jennifer, my stepdaughter, lived with my sister.
Your sister lives in Fort Worth, is that right?
Yeah, in Benbrook specifically, but yes,
And so your sister does live up in the Metroplex area, if you will.
she does. I'm sorry.
Right. And so during the time that Elaine was in the States for that 6-month period to get her green card, where was Alvis?
Alvis was with Elaine.
How old was he at that time?
Again, I'd have to look at the calendar. I'm thinking this was 2017, so that would put him at maybe it was 2018. He would have been around 2 years old, 1 to 2, when he or 2 years old when he first.
Infant or toddler?
Infant or toddler, yes.
And when she came back, how long was it before y'all separated again?
I believe she was there 6 months again.
When you say
It was
there,
long enough in Taiwan. I'm sorry.
when you say there, you got to identify the place you're talking about.
I'm sorry. When she returned to Taiwan, I believe it was for another 6 months. This was in the spring of maybe 2020 when she returned and he was enrolled at the school where I worked.
And then why did she leave again after 6 months?
It was a requirement for the green card process
What was the requirement?
that she reside in the United States at least 6 months of the year, I believe.
Oh, I see. Okay. So she, to establish that green card, she was having to every year spend at least 6 months in the US.
She was.
The second time she went to the US, where did she live?
She got an apartment in the Metroplex.
Did she take Alvis with her?
She did.
How, during these times of separation, when she was in the States for 6 months at a time, how did you get to see Alvis? Did you travel or?
I traveled when I had the chance, and we spoke every night on video chat, I guess.
When did do you have, or have you had a problem with alcohol in your life?
I have.
When did that start manifesting itself after you were married?
I don't know if I'm the best judge of it to look at myself. I've always had a problem with alcohol. I would say that my alcohol use did not get extremely excessive until the second time when Elaine left the United States, or left for the United States. I'm sorry.
Prior to that second time her leaving, had alcohol ever been an argument between you and Elaine?
I don't remember arguments. No,
She ever
It was-
complained about the quantity of your drinking before that time?
not to me.
Had it been any kind of an issue as far as you knew in your marriage or in your relationship?
Again, not until the second time they left. No.
Would you say that there was a problem in your marriage with your alcohol consumption prior to her leaving the second time?
It was discussed.
So your drinking had become problematic before she left the second time.
If by discussion means it was a problem, then I guess so. Then yes. If I'm sorry, if my drinking was a problem and it needed to be talked about, then I guess it was a problem.
You didn't get sober until January of 2022, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And have you had anything to drink? Have you been completely sober since January of 2022?
Completely sober.
Congratulations. You're coming up on 2 years, is that right?
That's correct.
During the time from when she left and sometime in 2020 until January of 2022, did you have what you would call a severe alcohol problem?
I did.
And at this point in time, you're living in Taiwan.
Yes, I was.
Did she ever return to Taiwan between the time she left to go to the States and January of 2022 when you moved back to the States?
She did not.
And so she was living at that point full time, from that point in time forward, full time in the US.
Yes.
And you're aware that she's had neighbors or family members or somebody else 2 or 3 years ago have pictures of all the alcohol bottles that were in your apartment in Taiwan.
Yes, I'm aware.
You've seen those pictures and you're not proud of them,
I have and I'm not.
but you don't deny that in fact there's nothing you have to hide about that. It is what it is, and it's something you're ashamed of, but it was part of your life at that time.
That's correct.
As part of alcohol addiction recovery, confronting the issue of shame and weaponizing people weaponizing your addiction against you, that sort of thing.
Sorry, say it again.
Part of your recovery, does it have to do with confronting the issues of shame?
Absolutely.
Do you understand that your addiction, severe as it was 2 or 3 years ago, can be weaponized against you in proceedings like this?
I do.
You understand that's just part of it.
I do.
So what happened in January of 2022 that led to you going into recovery?
I came to visit the United States originally just for a vacation to see family. While I was here, maybe a day or two after I'd gotten off the airplane, I suffered AVE. I'm not sure the medical term, but basically a mini stroke. I had a seizure and recovered, and then the same thing happened the next day, and I woke up in the hospital.
How long were you in the hospital?
I think total of maybe about a week, maybe a little more.
Did you have to go through any kind of alcohol withdrawal treatment?
I did.
How did that work?
It was surprisingly pleasant in the hospital. I'm glad I was in the hospital for that to happen.
After being released from the hospital, tell us about your journey from there.
After I was released from the hospital, I returned to my grandmother and mother at the time were living in Mills County in Pretty. And so I originally went to stay with them. I realized that I probably could not go back to Taiwan that I needed to quit drinking, and returning to Taiwan by myself would not be a way to do that. Talking to friends and family and Alvis had me convinced that I needed to make a positive change in my life, and I was not going to do that on my own in another country. I needed to be surrounded by friends and family here in the United States and have goals to work towards for my sobriety, to be able to do that for myself and for my family.
I know everybody's different, but is there one or two or three things that you would, I guess if you were given testimony, that you would say has contributed to your success in staying sober?
Family support, love for my son, realizing that if he doesn't have a father who's not present either because of alcohol or because of medical reasons, then there's nobody to fight for him. So family, doing it for my son, and just an overall desire to be present in the world, keeping my life simple and having lots of work in front of me, I guess.
Did you go to a rehabilitation program or anything like that?
I did not.
Had you been through a rehabilitation program or more than one before in your history with alcohol?
Yes, I have.
And it's hard to understand. I don't know if anybody can, but somehow you've been successful here for the last 2 years. And why do you think that this time you've been successful, whereas previous times when you went to rehab or tried before, that It wasn't successful.
Uh, I've been told that you have to want to stop. And when I've been to rehab before, I don't think I wanted to stop. This time, after I woke up in the hospital and talked to my son and talked to my family, I knew that I no longer had a choice. Drinking was not an option for me, and it never could be again. And so I decided I had to do that for myself if I was going to be the person I needed to be for my son and my family.
All right. All right. So why didn't you and Elaine move back in to live with each other after January of 2022 when you moved back to the States?
I knew from past experience that living with her was a bad idea for my mental health and newfound sobriety, especially.
Why?
We don't get along. It's impossible to have a discussion for she and I together.
How did you get along 52 weekends out of the year from Thursday to Sunday when you would go up there and live in an apartment with her in Alvis?
My strategy for getting along with her is to minimize the time I spend with her. If we do pretty good talking on the phone, if we're in person and there's a disagreement, then there's going to be a disagreement. So what I tried to do is focus on Alvis and doing the things I could to be present for him.
You said Alvis is in the second grade, right?
First grade.
First grade. All right. And so for the last, 3 years, he's lived in the States.
Yes. 6 months of that was spent in Taiwan, but yes, for the most part, the United States.
And primarily residing with his mother. Is that true?
That's correct.
Except for when you were there on the weekends.
Yes.
Were you, did you go there every weekend? Was this something that you took very seriously?
Absolutely. I believe the only times I missed, last summer, Elaine took him to Taiwan for a couple of months. And other than that, it would, unless there was a scheduling conflict, but I was there almost every weekend. That was my priority.
Okay.
He also spent a month when I got out of the hospital. He came to live with myself, my mother, and my grandmother for over a month and stayed with us there at the house.
Where did he go to school his kindergarten year?
His kindergarten at IL, Texas.
IL?
Internet. It's a charter school. I think International Leadership of Texas is what it stands for in Garland.
So kindergarten, and where does Elaine live?
In Rowlett.
Is that where the school was located? He went to kindergarten?
No.
Where was it located?
Garland.
Did he live in Garland then?
He did not.
He lived in the same place. His school was over in Garland.
Yes.
And
Just kind of a heads up, you're about 30 minutes in. I mean, you're doing fine. I just want to kind of keep everybody where we are.
did he go to the same school, or was he enrolled into the same school to start first grade?
Yes, he was.
And tell us what happened that has led to your filing for divorce and the court having this hearing today.
On the 11th of October, I believe, Albus and I were asleep on the couch that morning. I guess maybe I was asleep. I'm sorry. He may have been playing on his iPad.
Was this a weekend?
This was a Saturday morning.
So it was a weekend that you were up there living with Alvis and Elaine?
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
I woke up to Elaine walking in the room shouting. And I didn't know what was going on. I just heard screaming. I left the room and went outside on the porch to smoke a cigarette. While I was outside, I heard my son start crying, screaming pretty loud. I stepped back into the apartment to ask what was going on. And they both tried to explain at the same time. And while Elaine was explaining what he did or what she did, she struck me in the face. I tried to discuss this with her, and there was no discussing. She continued to yell at my son. So I stepped back outside to get away from it. And while I was sitting there, I decided to call the police and tell them what happened, that my wife had struck me in the face, and let them make the decision from there on what I needed to do.
Police come out to y'all's location.
They did.
Did they talk to you?
They did.
Ultimately, did they make the decision to arrest Elaine for domestic assault?
They did.
And was she taken to the jail for that?
She was.
Prior to her, or at the time that the police were there, did they also want to talk to Alvis about what happened?
I was not in the room when it happened. From what Alvis told me, yes, I believe they spoke with him.
Objection, hearsay.
Are you aware that his mother was yelling things to him in Chinese to try to keep him from making a statement to the police about what happened?
Yes.
Is Alvis having trouble with his mother doing that?
Trouble how?
It's been an issue between him and his mom since that incident.
Oh, trouble. Yes, he's been afraid to see her. Or
Why do you have any idea why she would tell him to not cooperate with law enforcement that was there to investigate this domestic assault?
I don't know.
So after she was taken to the jail, did you and Alvis leave the apartment?
We did.
Where did you go?
We went to my sister's house in Benbrook.
And then from there, where did you go?
We went to Goldthwaite, to my other home.
And have you and Alvis resided there at your home in Goldthwaite since that date?
We have.
October, you said what, 14th?
October 11th. So the night of the 11th, we stayed at my sister's. And since the 12th, we have been in Goldthwaite, October 12th.
2 months and a little over a week.
Yes.
Did you enroll Alvis into school at Goldthwaite?
You did?
Goldthwaite ISD?
Yes.
Into the first grade?
Yes.
And Todd, do you have any problem with my exhibits?
No, those are the ones you submitted last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
So, Russell, how did you and Elaine discuss what you believed was in Alvis's best interest after that incident on October 12th of 2023?
I've listened to my son and tried to trust the judgment of a 7-year-old as best I could. When we originally left, he said he was afraid to see his mother.
Objection,
okay.
hearsay, Your Honor.
Okay.
Do you think Alvis wants to talk to the judge about how he feels and what he wants to do?
I do.
And have you asked the judge to visit with Alvis to determine what his feelings and wishes are in this matter?
I have not personally asked the judge, but
Well, we have, you understand?
yes. Okay, sorry.
Where is Alvis at now?
He's here in the home with me.
Is he out for a Christmas break from school?
He is.
During the last couple of weeks, have you and Elaine been able to work together to allow for some visitation time between Alvis and his mother?
We have.
And where do y'all meet at for exchanges?
In Glenrose?
Both Friday and Sunday?
Yes. For the first weekend, Friday and Sunday. The second weekend, Friday and Monday.
And has that exchange location worked okay for y'all?
Yes, it has.
Have you noticed anything about Alvis's how he was feeling before he would go with his mom?
He's reluctant.
Without saying what he said or anything, but just his demeanor.
Yes. His noticeably sadder when he goes.
What about when he comes back? Have you noticed anything about his personality or demeanor?
He's happy to see me.
Is there anything about the time he spent with his mom that has affected his personality that you can tell?
Not without saying what he tells me. I can just say he's very visibly excited to be back in my presence.
Okay, Your Honor, at this point, I'm gonna offer Petitioner's Exhibit 1, which is a text message conversation between Elaine and Russell, and Petitioner's Exhibit 2, which are pictures of Russell's home and Alice's room, where he's living now in Goldthwaite. And that's it for now. I'm assuming those are admitted without objection.
Well, I was on mute,
Yes.
and so any objection to petitioners 1 and 2, Mr. Steele?
No, Judge.
Petitioners 1 and 2 are admitted, and I'll note for the record, they are uploaded in the court's Dropbox.
All right, so I guess what I want to help you impress upon the judge is, why do you think that, the judge has to decide where Elvis is going to live, between living with you where he's at right now to living with his mother, where he spent more time in his life. Why do you think it is in his best interest today for the judge to say that Elvis is going to live with you primarily and visit his mother?
He has always, since he was a baby, been happier in my presence and with my family around. Anytime that he spent time moving between the two of us, he's scared to go back with his mother. He's always expressed a desire to stay with me, and he gets visibly upset when separated. I've tried to listen to what he wants, and that's what he's told me. I've seen the relationship that my wife had with her daughter, and I believe that he would be better served, brought up with me and the family and the small town environment around my family and around us, as opposed to being raised by his mother. I believe it's very much in his best interest.
I'll pass witness at this time, Your Honor.
Mr. Steele?
Thank you, Your Honor. So based on your testimony, Mr. Elmore, even during the times of separation, Alvis lived with his mother instead of living with you, correct?
Correct.
So as we sit here today, with the exception of about the middle part of November forward, prior to November the 11th or so of this year, he had lived the entire time with his mother, correct?
Correct.
And there were times when you were there, but there were long periods of time when you were not there, correct?
Correct.
So, truth of the matter is that she has always been Alvis's primary caregiver, correct?
Correct.
Do you try to be a good father to Alvis when you are with him?
I do.
Do you try to teach him the things that a dad ought to be teaching a young man growing up to be a young, respectful man?
I do.
Okay. Your Honor, I had submitted several exhibits last week. I believe Mr. Woodley said he indicated he did not have any objection to those.
That's correct, Your Honor.
So I would offer, just as a lump sum, response exhibits 1 through 19.
No objection.
As respondents exhibits 1 through 19 are admitted.
Mr. Elmore, do you have a copy of those exhibits?
I do not.
Did you see them?
I believe I've seen them all. Yes. I I'm not looking now, so I can't say exactly what, but if I understand correctly, I believe I have.
And Judge, I'd ask the court, do you have those in front of you or do I need to share screen?
I have them in front of me.
Okay. Mr. Elmore, I'm looking at respondents exhibit number 4. And exhibit number 5 and exhibit number 6. Do you recall seeing these exhibits? And if I need to pull them up on the screen, I can, but exhibit number 6 was a photograph of you sitting in a chair shooting the middle finger.
Okay,
Do you recall seeing that?
I do.
Exhibit number 4 is a screenshot of you having a video phone call with Alvis. Do you see that?
I do.
And you're teaching Alvis to shoot the middle finger, aren't you?
I'm not.
Well, Alvis is doing it, and you're sitting there in the background shooting the middle finger. So what are we to make of this?
May I explain?
I wish you would.
Yeah, my son he was in preschool and then kindergarten and first grade. He watches a lot of YouTube and other movies. And in the course of doing that, he's seen that finger. At the time, he was asking me what that was. And I thought that was pretty funny. And I said, do you mean this? And he said, yes. And I told him, that's something very bad. He can do that to me right now, but that's not something that his teachers or any other parents better ever tell me he does.
Well, in exhibit number 6, you're sitting there in the chair doing it, laughing about it, right?
Is Alvis in that? I don't see Alvis in that picture.
No, he's not, but he's in exhibit number 4 where y'all are doing it together.
Is that okay? I can explain that picture with Alvis. The other one, I don't understand.
I think you did. But the
Okay.
truth of the matter is you think it's funny and cute to teach a little boy how to shoot the finger, correct?
I do not.
Okay. Is it true that you have also taught him to send his mother recorded voice messages by text saying to her, and I'm quoting, "fuck you"? Is that true?
That's not true.
Isn't it true that since he's been with you since middle of last month, and Elaine's trying to contact him, he responds with a video or an audio recording of him saying "fuck you"?
Was it an audio recording or a text recording? I haven't seen it or heard it.
Well, Elaine talked to you about it, didn't she?
She did, yes.
All right. So you're aware of it?
Yes, I'm aware that she told me, yes.
Okay. So he learned that from somebody, and it just so happened to be that it's happened since he's been with you. Am I true about that? Is that true?
It's true that it happened when he was with me. I don't know when he learned that.
Okay. You testified that your alcohol problem, I think you said in your sworn testimony that you haven't had a problem with that for about 2 years now, correct?
Correct.
And you testified that you would describe your alcohol problem as a severe alcohol problem.
Yes.
And yet you've not been to any kind of recovery in the last 2 years. True?
I have not. That's true.
Is it so? When is Elvis's birthday?
October 7th.
Okay. Were you at a birthday party of his this year?
I was not.
You were not at a birthday party.
I was not at his birthday party.
Where were you?
I was at home asleep. in the morning, and the rest of the day I was at home where my wife and son had left me.
Okay. Were you at a birthday party last year?
I don't believe so.
Well, are you aware that one of Alvis's friends' parents indicated to Elaine that they smelled alcohol on your breath and were concerned about the way you were acting at the party?
His birthday at the Science Museum. Yes, I was there last year. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was not aware of that.
Okay. Well, someone like that wouldn't have a reason to just make that up, would they?
I can't say.
During the period of time, even that you and Elaine lived together after Alvis was born, she was a stay-at-home mom, wasn't she?
She was.
So when Elaine lived in America and you were still in Taiwan for that 6-month period or so, Alvis was with Elaine the whole time.
Yes.
And she came back to Taiwan for 6 months, correct?
She did.
And she was a stay-at-home mom, or she was with Alvis every day.
No, she had a part-time job. She worked on the weekends.
Okay. So other than the weekends, were you off on the weekends, I guess?
I was.
So when Alvis would be with you when you were off on the weekend and she would go work.
Also, he would be with me at work. He attended school at my school where I worked.
Right, but he was in class and you were in a different class, right?
Sure.
Okay. Isn't it true that Alvis, up until you took him in mid-November, had lived every bit of time he's lived in the United States has been in either Richardson or the Rowlett area?
No, he spent time in Hamilton when they originally moved back. He also spent time at Pretty when he lived with myself and my mother and my grandmother.
Okay. You smoke?
I do.
Who lives in your house with you?
My mother.
She smokes?
She does.
And you're aware that Alvis has allergy problems and recently had an allergy problem when he was with mom and she had to take him to the doctor, correct?
I am.
And she discussed with you the problem about his allergies and y'all smoking, correct?
She has.
And you confirmed in a text message that you don't deny that the allergy problem he has likely has to do with the smoking.
I don't deny that it's a possibility. No.
Okay.
Smoking is bad. Yes.
Especially when it's done around little boys who are allergic to it.
Yes.
Since y'all have been separated this last time, I guess since November, isn't it true that you've told Alvis basically that his mom just didn't want him anymore?
That is absolutely untrue.
Isn't it true that you told Alvis that his mother had not even tried to call you during that first 20 days or so that she wasn't seeing him?
That is not true.
Okay.
Mr. Steele,
Yes.
if you could, and I understand it, but just instruct your client not to shake her head yes or no. She just needs to kind of sit still. She'll get a chance to testify, but she's done that several times. You may proceed.
Are you aware that when Alvis came to see his mother, that he told her that you had told him those exact things?
I was not aware of that.
Did you tell him that his mother's the one that transferred him from his school to the school where you live in Mills County?
I did not tell him that.
Why would he tell his mother that?
I can't speak to why he told her anything.
Did you tell him during the periods of time that we had this agreement for him to go see his mother? And just so the judge knows, we entered into what we call a Rule 11 agreement where he would come spend the weekends for the last 3 weekends or so with his mother, correct?
I'm sorry, was that question to me or the judge? I didn't understand.
I'm asking you,
Go ahead.
just so the judge is aware that we had entered into what's called Rule 11 agreements so that she could have visitation for the last 3 weekends or so. Is that true?
2 weekends. Yes, it is.
And you told your son that he was going to go see his mom and that if she didn't bring him back, she would be going to jail.
No, I didn't say jail. I said she had signed a legal agreement that said she had to bring him back. That's all I said.
Okay. And you think this is an appropriate thing to be talking to a 7-year-old little boy about?
The truth? Yes. I believe in being honest with my son.
Okay. So if you didn't tell him that his mother would be going to jail if she didn't return him, why would he say that to his mother?
I don't know. Again, I can't speak to what my son would say.
Do you think your son is truthful?
He's a 7-year-old boy. I mean, he has his moments.
Alvis has lots of friends up in Rowlett through school and jujitsu classes and other things that he's involved in, correct?
Correct.
And he's got lots of friends that have Chinese heritage that he associates with up there, correct?
Correct.
Coming up on
Any-
about an hour, Mr. Steele. So I just kind of keeping everybody mindful of the time.
Okay.
And he does very good in school there, doesn't he?
He does.
He's in gifted and talented classes.
I believe so. I know he took the test for gifted and talented and he met the standards.
Okay. Now, so what school does he go to there in Mills County?
Goldthwaite ISD, the Goldthwaite Elementary School. I'm sorry.
Okay. How many children are in his class that have the same heritage as he does?
I can't speak to the heritage or racial makeup of Alvis's classmates.
You haven't been to the school to see?
I have, but how am I supposed to know what their families are like by looking at a kid?
Has he said to you that he met other kids that are Chinese or that speak Mandarin?
Your
He
Honor,
is
I'm
not.
correct. This child's heritage is both his mother and his father's heritage.
Understood. Let's move along from this issue.
Now, you said that on this incident where Elaine got arrested, I just want to be sure I've got this correct. You heard Elaine and Alvis in an argument about she was getting on to him for something, correct?
Correct.
and that she was trying to explain to you or demonstrate to you what Alvis had done.
Correct.
And what was she explaining or what was she showing to you that Alvis had done?
I don't know.
You were
In the-
there.
When someone is yelling at you and they hit you in the face, I kind of stop listening after that. Like that's when I step back and
She was
I had
trying.
no idea.
Well, let me see if this refreshes your memory.
Okay.
She was trying to explain to you and show you how Alvis had ripped some glasses off of her face.
I don't know. She did not
And when
explain that
she-
to me.
And when she demonstrated that is when her hand hit your face.
I don't know. I got hit in the face and I stopped listening.
Okay. Your testimony, and I wrote this down verbatim as you were testifying. It says, while explaining, she struck me in the face.
Correct.
And you know that was an accidental thing that happened when she was explaining to you what happened, correct?
I explain things to a lot of people. I've never hit any of them in the face.
So you think she struck you intentionally?
I believe she didn't take proper care when she was angry to make sure that she didn't hit me in the face.
So you thought the proper remedy for that was to call the police and have her arrested?
I did.
Okay. And you also saw this as an opportunity to get out of town with Alvis and file for divorce without having to return Alvis to his mother, correct?
Not at first, no.
Okay. But pretty soon it dawned on you that this was your chance, correct?
Correct.
And are you aware that when Elaine was taken to jail and magistrated, that the judge did not even set a bond? He just set what we call a PR bond and let her out without having to pay a bail bond. You aware of that?
How would I be? No, I was not at the jail.
And that judge did not even enter what we call a magistrate's emergency protective order, did he?
If you say so.
Well, you never got a copy of a protective order.
Oh, I didn't. The officer gave me the information to request a protective order, and I did not pursue that.
Right. But even the judge didn't do one himself. You're aware of that, correct?
I am now.
Okay. You've been violent towards Elaine in the past before, haven't you?
With words, I've never been physically violent. Not with her, not with anyone.
Do you recall seeing respondents exhibit number 7, which was a medical record from Taiwan that was translated into English by an interpreter?
Can I see? I did remember seeing a medical office or medical. What I was shown was a picture that showed like of a human body that showed where there were. If that's part of the same exhibit, maybe.
Yeah, it's part of the same exhibit.
Yeah, I saw that in my attorney's office.
And this was where Elaine had gone to the doctor, the hospital in Taiwan because you had assaulted her, correct?
That is not correct.
The diagnosis was a contusion of the right lower limb with abrasion head concussion. Correct?
If you say
You saw that.
okay.
And that happened in 2021, right?
What happened in 2021?
The assault that you committed against Elaine that caused her to go to the hospital with these injuries.
I did not commit any assault against Elaine. Never.
Okay.
So we're right at an hour in. So just a heads up.
So Judge, how much is my time on this?
You're 20 minutes. Mr. Woodley had 40 minutes. You're at 20.
Okay.
And so just keep that in mind.
Okay. When did you say you quit drinking?
It's January of 2022, January 27th.
Okay. Did you see respondents exhibit number 3, which is a 13-page exhibit showing all of the trash and alcohol bottles in the house in Taiwan?
I have,
And that was taken April the 21st of 2022, correct?
that's correct. Yeah.
So you're saying at this point in time, you had already quit drinking, but you still had all those alcohol bottles and trash laying around your house?
May I explain?
No,
I can't,
I'm just asking you if that's what you're saying.
I was not in Taiwan in that time. I was in the United States from January of 2022 on.
In fact, your mother has warned Elaine before that she and her son need to get away from you because you're dangerous, correct?
I know, yes, my mother and Elaine had spoken about my drinking. Yes, sir.
In fact, she said, I wish you and Avis would get away from him.
Okay.
Didn't she? You're aware of that.
I'm aware. I've seen the messages. Yes.
And she also said in the messages that Alvis doesn't need to be around Russell. Correct?
Okay.
Your own mother told
I'm sure
Elaine
these
that,
messages are in evidence.
yeah, they are their respondents exhibit number 1.
Did you offer them?
Yeah, I think they were all offered and admitted kind of in a lump sum.
Are they, what year are they from?
2020.
All right.
So you're so bad off that your mother was warning her daughter-in-law that your own son didn't need to be around you. True?
If that's what the messages say.
And you're saying that your alcohol problem was so severe that your own mother was warning Elaine about it for the safety of your son. And you're saying that you've kicked that habit and you no longer drink, and you've done that cold turkey. You've done that without rehab or anything.
Except for the period spent in the hospital for withdrawal. Yes, I have.
Did you see respondents number 8, which is the photographs of the broken door on the house in Taiwan?
I did.
You did that, didn't you?
I did.
Because you were angry and being violent towards Elaine, correct?
No.
Okay. So you had some text communications with Elaine shortly after the time that you ran off with Alvis and went back to Mills County, correct?
Yes.
In fact, in those messages, which are contained in respondents exhibit number 9, you told her, please don't try to contact us right now. I will not answer the phone.
Yes.
We will contact you soon, but not tonight, is what you
Yes.
said in another message, right?
I did.
And she was continually trying to contact you to talk to Alvis, even for just a few minutes, and you refused to let that happen, correct?
No.
Well, November the 15th at 6:16 p.m., she texted you, can you please let Alvis call me? Thanks. Correct?
Okay. If that's what it says,
And
I
then
believe it.
and then about an hour later, she texted you back because you didn't respond to that, correct?
I can't say that's why. I don't know. But
Okay,
if she,
because she said in the second message after that, let's meet tomorrow. I haven't seen Alvis for a week. I miss him very much. I need to hug him, talk to him, and kiss him. Right?
okay, yes, she said that.
And she sent you some pictures of Alvis with her and with his friends from up there in the Metroplex, correct?
Correct.
Mr. Steele, I'm gonna intervene at this point. I really want to hear from the mother some too. And so we're getting dangerously close to
How much time have I used, Judge?
30 minutes.
Okay. Then I'll pass the witness.
I'm just gonna offer petitioner's exhibit number 6 related to the message that Alvis sent his mother where he cursed at her. And that explains that incident between the parents. Other than that, I'll pass this witness, Your Honor.
All right. And so any objections to petitioner's exhibit 6?
Well, I haven't seen it, but can you tell me what it is? I was just given 3, so I'm not sure.
It's it's a message between these two parents where the mother says, Alvis sent me a voice message that said, fuck you, just wondering if you know about this. No, I didn't, but I just asked him about it and he tried to lie, then admitted to it. He said he did it because he was mad. I told him that's not how we're supposed to handle anger. I took his iPad and told him no more computer. He's supposed to apologize when we see you tonight.
Okay. Yeah, no objection.
Petitioner 6 is admitted. All right. And so, Mr. Woodley, you've got roughly 20 minutes of time left for you. Do you have another witness you wish to call, or are we going to have Mr. Steele call his client?
I would rest and have Mr. Steele call his witnesses.
All right. You may proceed, Mr. Steele.
I would call Elaine.
All right, Elaine, you're under oath. And so obviously with the interpretation, this may take us a little bit slower. And so, Mr. Steele, you may proceed.
好的，银铃到你作证了啊，你可以把耳机暂时拿掉了。
Elaine,
Elaine，
I'm going to go very quickly, okay?
我现在很快的来问你几个问题。
好的。
OK，
So, is it true that Alvis has always lived with you every day of his life up until the middle of November of this year?
Alvis 在出生之后，除了一直到今年的这个11月中旬，一直都是每一天都跟你在一起生活的，是吗
每一天，对，几乎是每一天，有时候会
？Every day, almost every day, yes.
And is it true that Alvis has always attended school in the Metroplex area?
Alvis 一直都是在这个 Metroplex，就是大都会这个地方一直在上学的，是吗？
是。
Yes.
Is it true that you have always lived in the Metroplex with Alvis without any objection from Alvis's father?
那你也是跟这个 Alvis 一直呢，在这个 Metroplex 大都会这个地方一起生活的，而且你跟 Alvis 在这里生活，他的父亲并没有任何反对意见，对吗？
是。
Correct.
Is it true that Mr. Elmore chose, even when he was living in the United States, to not live with his son, but rather to live with his mother in Mills County?
当这个 Elmore 先生呢，他即便是在美国生活的时候，他也选择了宁可不跟他儿子住在一起，而是去在这个 Mills 县跟他的妈妈住在一起，是吗？
是。
Correct.
And is it true that even when you were living in the United States and Mr. Elmore was living in the United States, that he only saw his son basically on weekends?
即便你在美国生活 ，Elmore 先生也在美国生活的时候，他也只在周末的时候见他的儿子，是不是
对，大部分是。
？Most of the time, yes.
Okay. would Mr. Elmore see Elvis every weekend, or would there be some weekends when he didn't even come up to see Elvis?
Almus 先生呢，是每个周末都来见Elvis 呢，还是说有一些周末他并不来
大部分是
？Most of the weekends, yes.
Okay. What sort of things is Elvis involved in up in the Metroplex? Where does he go to school?
在这个 Metroplex 大都会这个地方，Elvis 都参加哪些活动呢？比如说他在哪里上学？
他在 Alstessers International 的地方上学，然后他下课之后会去参加柔术，这个柔术他已经参加了1年了，还会去参加游泳课，然后有时候还会有画画课。
Elvis goes to a school named as Texas International. Your Honor, the interpreter is not sure about the spelling or pronunciation the interpreter rendered. In addition, after school time, Elvis would go to a jiu-jitsu school. He had been practicing in that school for more than 1 year. In addition, he also went to swimming classes and also painting classes.
Okay. And would you be the one that would take him to these activities and make sure he did his homework and just kept him going with all of his daily activities?
那么在他参加所有的这些活动啊，还有呢，确保他完成家庭作业，然后呢，一直保持去参加这些活动，是不是你是唯一的人承担这件事情？
是，但是我最近，直到10月18号，爸爸偶尔会带他去，因为我考上 RN job。
Excuse me, the interpreter want to verify with Elaine for one term. 但是因为什么？爸爸在10月18号开始带他去。
嗯，因为那时候我工作，所以他
哦
偶尔会
，OK，
来。
Yes, but from October the 18th, occasionally, his father would take him for some of the activities because I started my part-time job,
但是只有礼拜五。
but only on Fridays.
Okay. So, has Elvis seemed to be happy living with you in the Metroplex and going to his school and his activities?
当 Elvis 在这个 Metroplex 大都会跟你生活的时候，他能够在这里上学，并且去参加那些活动的话，他是不是看上去很开心啊
是的，他说他想要回来。
？Correct. He told me that he wanted to come back.
Okay. So you've seen him for the last, what, 2 weekends?
你在过去的2个周末都见到他了，是吗
是的，
？Yes.
What sorts of things did y'all do when you had him for those weekends?
在这过去的2个周末，他跟你在一起的时候，你们都去做了哪些事情呢？
我们去拜访他的学校同学，他的朋友，我们去看了狙击手的教练，然后我们去公园玩，跟小朋友一起吃中餐，然后我们去看足球赛，然后他总是黏着我，我们还玩乐高，我们还玩汽车，我们还做很多事情。但他总是抱着我，他说他是一个小 baby，他说他不想离开我。
We went to visit his former classmates in the same school where he went to, and his friends, and we also we went to his jiu-jitsu school, and we went to play in a park or parks, and we went to have Chinese food in the restaurant. We went to watch football games, and he would always tag along with me, and we played Lego. We played model cars together. He always would ask me to cuddle him, to hold him tight in my arms. He told me that, Mom, I'm a little baby. I don't want to leave you. And please do not leave me.
We lost Mr. Steele. You're on mute, Judge.
I think I am on a call with Elaine. Let me try to talk
So,
with him.
yeah, they can log back in. I
Okay.
noted they had frozen up for the last few minutes, but we could still hear them. We'll get them back.
Elaine, 我们在 and Council Todd, we are waiting for you to log back on.
Amy, are you doing okay?
Yes, sir, I'm fine.
Okay. Jennifer, if you'll call over to Todd's office and just see what might be going on over there.
Yes, sir. Judge, they're trying to log on right now.
You need to.
All right, can y'all see me now?
We can.
All right, I'm sorry, Judge. I could not get logged back on with the computer, so now I'm on a cell phone.
All right, and is Elaine still on the phone with Ms. Chen?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Tammy, you ready?
Yes, sir.
We're back on the record in this case, and so Mr. Steele has been able to log back in after being kicked off of Zoom. Are you ready to continue, Mr. Steele?
I am. Can I have the court reporter tell me where we were?
Yes.
Just 1 second. The last question that you had asked was, what sorts of things did y'all do when you had him for those weekends? And then she responded with the answer. We went to visit his former classmates in the same school where he went to and his friends. And we also went to his jiu-jitsu school, and we went to play in a park or parks, and we went to have Chinese food in the restaurants. We went to watch football games, and he would always tag along with me, and we played Lego. We played model cars together. He always would ask me to cuddle him, to hold him tight in my arms. He told me, Mom, like a little baby, I don't want to leave you, and please do not leave me. And then that was the last question.
Thank you. Elaine, from what you observed, did Alvis enjoy his time with you and being back in his home where his friends are?
Elaine，根据你的观察，当 Elvis 回来之后跟你在一起的时间，以及他去看朋友、看同学那些时间，他开心吗？
他超级开心的，他跟我说，我好开心回来跟我的朋友在一起，然后我照了他好多照片，跟他在一起照片，他真的好开心，很开心。我已经很久没有看过他这样的笑容了。
He was super happy. He told me that he was super happy to be able to be back. And I took some pictures of him with his friends and with us. And he smiled a lot. It has been a very time for me to not having seen him to be so happy like this.
I'm going to show you Respondents Exhibit number 13. Is this one of the pictures of Alvis with his friends?
Yes.
这个是13号证据文件，是他 Alvis 跟朋友在一起是吗？你再说一遍。
是的。
Correct.
I'm going to show you Respondents number 14. Was this a picture of you and Alvis over one of these weekends?
Yes.
这个给你看的是你跟 Alvis 在一起周末的一些照片吗？
是的。
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to show you Respondents Exhibit 10 and 11. Are these his school records and his gifted and talented referral for his school up in the Metroplex?
这个是10号和11号证据，是他的学校的成绩单，然后呢是关于他的学校推荐他去那个 Metroplex 大都市的这个天才班的推荐信吗？
是的，他已经在天才班从 K 到现在的1年级，他一直都是在这个班，而且他们学校会有特别的那个节目或特别的活动给他们，是专门针对这些小孩子的。
Yes, actually, since in kindergarten until now, as a student in the first grade, he has been in such talented class all the time. And in this class, the school offers special or extra programs and activities for students enrolled in such classes.
Okay. Now, Elaine, we've offered some exhibits and they've been received by the court that are video exhibits, correct?
Yes.
原来就是除了这些的话，你还有一些视频的那些证据要想提交给法庭是吗？
哪些视频的证据？就是 哪些视频的证据？
Which video evidence?
Well, let me just go one at a time then. Exhibit number 15 is a video that you took of Alvis's room there at your house in Rowlett, correct?
那我一个个给你看。第一个呢是你在Elvis 在Rolette 的这个公寓跟你住的他的房间的一个视频是吗
是。
？Yes.
Exhibit 16 is a video that you took of the living room and kitchen area in your home in Rowlett, correct?
第16个这个证据视频呢，是你对你在Rolette 生活的这个公寓的客厅和厨房的一个小视频是吗
是。
？Correct.
Exhibit 17 is a video of your room and bathroom, I guess. Is that true?
Yeah.
第17个这个证物呢，这个视频是你的这个房间和你的那个洗手间的视频，对吗
对。
？Correct.
And exhibit 18 is a video of Alvis and some of his friends playing when you had a weekend with him up in Rowlett, correct?
这个第18号证据呢，是Elvis 周末回来跟你在一起的时候，他跟小朋友们在一起玩的一个视频，对吗
对。
？Correct.
You heard your husband's testimony that he stopped drinking alcohol 2 years ago, correct? Did you hear that?
你刚刚听到你的丈夫作证说，他在2年前就停止喝酒了，你听到这个了是吗
我听到了。
？I heard that.
Do you believe that he's really stopped drinking?
没有。
你相信他真的停止喝酒了吗
我没有相信。
？I do not believe it.
Okay. Do you have knowledge of his drinking within the last 2 years?
你是否了解他在过去的2年有喝酒过吗
我知道。
？I know it.
How do you know it?
你是怎么知道的呢？
因为我曾经跟他相处我曾经跟他相处在一起过，然后他喝完酒之后，情绪会变得很疯狂，然后有时候打人之后他还不知道。
Because during that time period, I used to stay together with him. After he drank, he would be very anxious and crazy, and he even struck people. And after what he did, he even didn't have any memory, or he couldn't realize what happened.
When's the last time that happened that you can remember?
你所记得的，你刚刚讲的这个情况，最近一次发生是在什么时候？
大概在1月30号，2022年，他因为酒精入院住了大概1个礼拜，这个是最严重的一次。然后我最后一次我记得，我在今年的3月还是3月左右，我在我家阳台有看到酒瓶。
First of all, it was on January 30th, 2022. He was hospitalized because of excessive drinking of alcohol, and he stayed in the hospital for about 1 week. And I think that was the most severe scenario which happened. And also around sometime in this March, I found or I saw alcohol in our porch or patio.
Was that alcohol yours?
你在阳台上看到的这个酒是你的吗？
不是，我从来不喝酒。
No, I never drank alcohol.
Okay.
即使我喝的话，我也是喝1个啤酒，我可能就会想睡觉了。
Even if very rarely I drank a little bit, that would be a little bit beer, and I would go to sleep directly.
Elaine, do you believe, or do you have reason to believe that ever since Mr. Elmore took Alvis in mid-November and kept him from you, that he's been telling Alvis that you don't want Alvis anymore?
因为你自己是否相信，自从在11月中旬 Elmo 把 Elvis 带走之后，他会告诉 Elvis 你再也不想要 Elvis 了？
是的，因为 Elvis 回来之后告诉我，妈妈，爸爸每天打电话给你，你都不接，然后你不要我了。爸爸说你不要我了，他说他很难过，所以他说你没有办法每天接我上课了，所以我只能转学，我只能去别的学校。他说这是爸爸跟他说的，我真的很难过。我每天打电话给他，可是爸爸并没有让他接。
Yes, because Elvis told me that his dad told him that I would not want him anymore. And he said that his father kept calling me, but I never pick up my phone. And this made Elvis felt very distraught or very saddened. And Elvis said, Mom, because you don't want me anymore, nobody would send me to the school anymore. So I had to go to a different school.
Was Alvis happy in his school in Garland?
Yes, he is very happy. Sorry.
Elvis 在 Garland 的学校很开心吗？
他在学校很开心，他每天去学校回来都会跟我说他在学校发生什么事情，老师做了些什么，然后他喜欢跟有一个同学叫 Austin，他喜欢跟他讲话，然后他会说我去学校，我每天都要跟他讲话，然后我每个礼拜都会去学校的午餐当义工，然后他每次看到我就会很开心，然后他会跟小朋友说：“我妈妈来了，我妈妈来了。”然后他就很开心，就这样。
Yes, he was very happy when he went to the school in Garland. And after he came back from school every day, he would very happily share with me what happened in the school on that day and what his teachers did in classes with the kids. And he had a very good friend whose name is Austin, who was also his classmate in the school. He said he would have some chit-chat talks, very friendly talks with Austin every day. They would communicate with each other. They are bonded with each other a lot. And every day when he went to have lunch in the cafeteria, because I served as a volunteer working at the cafeteria in that school. So he would be very happy every day when he saw me, and he would introduce me or show his classmates, friends in the school about me. See, that's my mom. That's my mom. See?
Okay. Judge, can you tell me where I am time-wise?
You're roughly 15 minutes into Elaine. You used 30 on Russell, so you've got about 15 minutes left for your part of it.
Okay.
我们这方还有15分钟。
Elaine, are you asking that the judge name you as the conservator with the exclusive right to determine the primary residence of the child? Meaning, are you asking the judge to allow Alvis to come back and reside with you in Rowlett?
因为你是否请求法官判处你呢作为这个Alvis 的唯一的专有的这个监护人，这个也并且呢要求他就是你只有你能够有权利对 Alvis 做出所有的决定，然后这意味着你呢也请求法官让 Alvis 回到若赖来跟你生活呢？
是的，因为从小到大，不管在台湾，在美国，我都是唯一做决定帮孩子选学校的人，而且他的生活也都是我在做决定，我也是跟他一起。
Yes, because after Elvis was born and through the all the way when Elvis has been growing up, no matter whether we were living in Taiwan or we were living or are living in the United States, I was the only person who made the decision for the school selection and also for Avis. And I had been the only person who mainly who took care of all the life and the daily activities for Alvis. I have been the only decision maker for Alvis.
Okay, so if Alvis were to come back and live with you, that's going to put Alvis back into the only life he's ever known, which is living with you in the Metroplex.
如果让 Alvis 回到这个罗类来跟你生活的话，也就是说让 Alvis 回到他过去他仅仅了解的他的这个生活方式，也就是在这里跟你生活，在这里长大和上学，是吗？
是的。
Correct.
Are you asking that the judge enter a visitation schedule for Mr. Elmore, whatever the judge sees fit, but even if that's a standard possession order, are you asking the judge to give Mr. Elmore visitation rights with Alvis?
那你是否也请求法官呢？关于就是说，对于这个 Elmore 的这个探视权，由法官来判断，觉得怎么样合适，就由他来定。哪怕法官是根据这个法定的标准的这种规定来做出决定的话，你也同意法官的决定呢？
是。
Yes.
Are you asking that the judge order Mr. Elmore to pay guideline child support?
那你是否要求法官根据那个法律的规定判处 Elmore 呢，来支持儿童的抚养费？
是。
Yes.
And based upon the pay stub that we received from Mr. Woodley's office and the child support calculations that we've done, his child support, we believe, would be $694.19 per month, correct?
根据就是沃雷里律师提供的就是 Elmore 的这个工资单呢，那我们目前计算出来的孩子每个月的这个抚养费应该是694块1毛9还是9毛钱，是吗？
是。
Yes.
As far as exchanging possession, under these Rule 11 agreements we've had, y'all have been meeting at the Sheriff's Department to do the exchanges in Glen Rose, Texas, correct?
那根据就是这个第11项的这个法规第11条的这个规定，关于就是每次交换孩子呢，是在这个 Greenville 的这个警官办公室来交换孩子的，对不对？
对。
Yes.
And so are you asking the court to order that the exchanges to take place at the sheriff's office in Glen Rose?
那你是否也是请求法官就判处呢？今后交换孩子还是在这个 Greenville 就刚刚他讲的这个地方的这个警官办公室来交换孩子？
是。
Yes.
And you believe that these orders that we're asking for are in the best interest of the child?
您是否认为你刚刚做出的这些请求都是最符合孩子的最大的利益的？
是的。
Yes.
And you understand that these are just temporary orders, meaning at some point we'll be back to enter final orders, but these orders we're asking for would just be in effect from now until the time we come back for a final order, correct?
您是否也理解，我们今天如果法庭做出决定的话，也只是个临时的裁决令。那在后续某一个时候，我们还要回来，就是那个时候再做那个最后的裁决令。但是呢，今天的这个裁决令呢，就从法庭签出的时候就开始生效了。您理解吗
我理解。
？Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, I'm going to pass the witness. I would ask the court, since we are on a time limit, that I don't think I have time to play these video exhibits. They're very short. But since they've been admitted, those would be good exhibits for the court to see Alvis's home there in Rowlett.
All right.
法官，那 OK。OK，
Go
那
ahead,
the
Ms.
interpreter will be very fast. OK, thank you. 那Todd 律师呢就请求法官呢告诉他，因为我们现在时间有限，所以呢就不在法庭上播放这些视频了。这个视频提交法庭，法庭在需要的时候呢再去看这个落泪的这个家的情况。
All right, Mr. Woodley, do you have any questions for Elaine?
好看，Woodley 律师有没有问题要问 Elaine？
Hi, Elaine. How are you?
Elaine 你好。
你好。
And Elaine,
Hi, counsel.
Elaine,
I'm
you
sorry, I didn't hear the answer.
Hi, counsel.
哎，你好。
Elaine, you were talking earlier about the fact that Alvis has talked to you about his feelings about where he wants to live. Is that true?
因为你在早前的时候呢，作证讲 Elvis 讲述了他希望在哪里生活的这些感想，是吗
是。
？Yes.
And he's talked to you about what you say that he says that his dad has told him. Is that true?
他跟你讲了，你说他跟你讲了他的爸爸讲了什么东西，对不对
对。
？Yes.
And you agree with me then that he is able to communicate those things very well with you.
你同意我说他能够就这些事情能够很好的跟你沟通，是吗
是的，因为他从小到大跟我长大，我非常了解他。
？Yes, because he has always been growing up with me. I raised him up. I know my son.
And so then you would have no problem with the judge speaking with your son to determine what his real wishes are and how he really feels.
那如果法官决定跟您的儿子一起见个面，来了解一下你的儿子的真实的想法和他所想要的东西的话，你对此安排没有问题吧
没有问题。
？I have no problem with that.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
对方律师问完了，
Mr. Steele, any follow-up questions?
看 Todd 律
No,
师还
Your
有没有
Honor.
问题？Todd 律师也没有问题了。
All right. Okay. Let's do this. Let's take a very short break. I would like to talk to Mr. Woodley and Mr. Steele in a breakout room privately. And so Mr. Steele, have your client maybe step into another room so we can talk, have a bench conference. Everyone else can just stay put for a few minutes.
他们就是也令你去另外一个房间，然后法官要跟2个律师要单独谈一下，再做决定。
We'll go to room 1. Okay. Looks like we're still off the record. Ms. Chin,
Yes,
are you available? It wouldn't be very long, but are you available this afternoon around, the 2:15 to 2:30, 2:45 time range?
yes, I will make myself available, Your Honor.
Okay.
Yes.
Here's what we're gonna do. Let's go back on the record. All right, we're back on the record. In this case, I've conferred with Mr. Steele and Mr. Woodley. As far as evidence goes and presentation of witnesses, I've told them both that I don't. They're both running out of time, and I don't need to hear anymore. What I've also told them is, given that both sides have agreed that the court could talk with Alvis, I think it's probably the proper thing for me to do that. And so Mr. Woodley he could tell you all this more, Mr. Elmore, but Mr. Elmore, can you have Alvis over here in Brownwood at 2:00?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So bring him to the courthouse. My office is on the second floor. I've got a meeting at 1:00 and then a hearing at 1:30 in another case, but I should be done by 2:00. I will meet with Elvis. And then I want us all to reconvene on Zoom. Mayor, I'll just leave this Zoom open. You can stay on it the whole time, or you can log out and log back in, whatever you want to do. But let's all plan to get back on Zoom at, say, 2:00. Of course, it'll be a little after 2, depending on how long Alvis and I talk. Mr. Elmore and we can have, since you'll be here, we can have a Zoom set up for you ready over here. And then Mr. Steele, you and your client, we can do the same. And I will tell both the parents, I don't know yet. I've not made my ruling. But given that it's the holidays, regardless of who the primary parent will be, there needs to be some discussion about visitation for both of you over the holidays. So given that Elaine is here in town, I certainly we need to be thinking about those issues. I'll leave it to Mr. Steele and Mr. Woodley to talk, but everyone needs to be flexible. This case is entirely about Alvis and what is in his best interest. And so what is in his best interest is to have a good and healthy relationship with both parents. And so that will happen. Now, because you're not able to live together, we've got to make some decisions about where Alvis will live primarily, but whoever has him primarily, the other person is going to have a lot of visitation and access. And you're going to be in Alvis's life. So everybody understand that. Holiday season can get everybody a little bit ratcheted up too. But, and I don't want you to have any conversations with Alvis about the case. Obviously, you can tell him that he's coming over to talk to the judge and I'll handle it from there. I've got a little boy that's in the first grade and I understand kind of, what those issues and concerns are for them. And I'm not going to make him anxious or nervous in any way. We'll just have a little conversation and then we'll move along. So everybody just be ready to get back on Zoom about 2:00. Mr. Elmore, get Alvis over here at 2:00 up to the second floor of the courthouse, and then we will go from there. And so Mr. Steele, Mr. Woodley, anything else we need to address at this point?
Not from me, Judge.
Mr. Woodley?
Oh, Your Honor.
So here's
Your
what I'm
Honor,
going to do. Yes, Ms. Chen, go
that,
ahead.
sorry, Your Honor, to interrupt you. It seems that Elaine raised her hand.
Yes. So Elaine, if you have a question, go ahead and ask it and the interpreter can tell us what it is.
Judge,
So I worry.
she really wanted to talk to me. Her issue really is just a concern about what his father might tell him between now and the time that you meet with him. But I told her that you know how to deal with those issues and that it would not be advisable for him to do that, but that you know how to deal with that. So
Understood. And, obviously, I mean, the 7-year-old little boy shouldn't be brought in the middle of this any more than he already is. And so, but I can't control what parents talk about with their children when they're alone. So I would just strongly encourage Mr. Elmore to tell Albus to load up. He's coming to Brownwood, and that's that. And then I'll take it from there. And so we'll handle it the best we can. It sounds like everything I've heard about Elvis is that he's quite a well-adjusted, smart, bright, happy little boy. So I don't expect any of this to change that. All right, we're going to be in recess until 2:00. I'm going to turn us off of YouTube, but I'm just going to leave Zoom open. So everybody else is free to just handle it however they see fit.
Donna, sorry
Yes,
to
ma'am.
interrupt you again. So if I log out for now, if I log back on, will I use the same link I received
Yes.
earlier?
It will be
Okay,
the exact same link.
thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Chen.
我只
All right,
讲话吗？
we're in recess at this time.